Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and knock this out. All right, first question. Can you build muscle at age 69? Assuming this isn't a joke, let's take it as a serious question, because I think it's an important question to ask. The answer is dependent upon your training history. And we'll get to untrained people in a minute. If you've been training for 25 years already really hard, and you have built a very large base, you're not going to build any more muscle at age 69. It's not going to happen. Your goal from that point will be to hold on to as much muscle as you can every year. You are not going to have what you had at age 55. You're not. Okay? Especially if you already had a decade of really hard training by the time you got to 55, or even more so. If you had 20 years of training, you started training really hard at 35. No, you're going to lose a little bit. You're going to lose some every year for the rest of your life from that point. This is true for people who do not train as well. Okay, for people who trained a long period of time, you're going to see muscle decline at this age. That is a reality. People who don't train are going to lose it even faster. And that is our two biggest causes of death. What are the two largest causes of death for humans? Modern world. What are the big contributors? Obesity, number one. Sarcopenia, loss of muscle. Okay, that loss of muscle mass is what will kill you. That is ultimately the killer. So let's come over to the other question. If you don't have a really long training history, can you build muscle at age 69? Yes. And it would damn well be in your best interest to do so. You're going to live a lot longer, and you're going to have a lot higher quality of life. Okay? If you're at age 69 and you start training, or now, because you haven't been training a long time, if you can put on 5 pounds of muscle, just 5 pounds of muscle, and keep that 5 pounds of muscle for a few years, okay, that is actually will have a significant impact on your lifespan, your quality of life, your disease resistance, your resistance to cancers, your risk of bone breaks, right? Because once you start breaking bones, because again, with muscle comes bone density, once you start breaking bones at old age, that's when you're screwed. When that first hip fracture happens, okay, your lifespan just got cut dramatically shorter. So you should be trying to build muscle at this point. In fact, it should be an ultra high priority for you. If you want to live longer and have a higher quality of life to where you're independent, you should be putting all of your efforts into building muscle and bone density. It should be probably one of your number one priorities in life. It'll help you out a lot. All right, next question. Why do deficit deadlifts when a straight thoracic spine would accomplish the same thing? Well, because it won't necessarily. And here's the next question I would ask you. Assuming you have the back strength to do a really heavy pull with a straight thoracic spine, why couldn't you stand on a 1-inch plate and do a deficit deadlift still? Would you not gain the benefits of the deficit deadlift by doing that? Of course you would. Right? Now we come to the other point. A lot of people can't pull with their T-spine in extension once the weight gets heavy. In fact, there's arguably very good reasons not to, from a leverage perspective at a certain point when you're trying to reach an elite level deadlift. So even in that case, you're still benefiting by coming in and adding the plate to do deficit work if you need deficit work, if you would benefit from it. Hey, number one, it's easier on recovery. Number two, it improves lockout strength. That's a controversial stance. A lot of very elite coaches believe in it, though. Anyone who's done a lot of deficit work kind of understands why. All right, you're increasing the range of motion. You're making a longer pull. Now, is that ideal for lifting the heaviest weight possible? No. But our goal in training is not always to lift the heaviest weight possible. Our goal in training is to build muscle, to maximize strength potential, things like that. So doing exercises where we add range of motion has merit. It has merit for fixing certain weak points. It has merit for changing our strength curves, right? The way that we produce force over distance. It has merit for hypertrophy. So there's a lot of reasons why we would add range of motion to an exercise in our training. That's not always conducive to lifting the heaviest weight, of course, but then you do the other things when it comes competition time. When it comes time to lift the heaviest weight possible, when that's now the goal, whether it's for a max for the camera, max for your training, a max for the platform, max for the Instagram, then you adjust and you do what you need to do to lift the heaviest weight possible. But we come over to that other point. If a person is training to lift the heaviest weight possible and they can't do so with thoracic extension, they can lift 50 pounds more if they use a little thoracic rounding. Why wouldn't they continue to use thoracic rounding? And if they want to adjust range of motion, they could do a deficit deadlift to achieve the desired goal. It's all about using the right tool for the job. And its wisdom is knowing when to use each tool. Okay, that's wisdom and experience. That's where good coaching comes in. All right, next question and last question of the week. Jason, for 1 rep max on deadlift, should I switch if I use mixed grip or can I use wrist straps? Okay, good question. Depends on what you're doing, doesn't it? I think there's a place for both mixed grip and wrist straps on maxing. So here's what I'm going to say. Should you switch your grip if using mixed grip? I'm going to say no. Save that for the speed work. Notice I did not say rep work. I said speed work. A whole lot of you don't have any business doing mixed grip on rep work. Let's just be honest here. Okay. Most of you would be best suited to sticking to straps when you do rep work. Mixed grip deadlifting doesn't build your grip particularly well. And if you're trying to toughen your hands up to get used to the bar, right, because you want to get used to a very aggressive deadlift bar, your speed work will do that for you. It will toughen your hands up just fine. So since you're not getting a good grip training benefit out of the rep work and we're just chasing hypertrophy with it or weak point training on some variation, just strap up for your rep work. So let's come over and discuss the maxes again. I don't think you should switch your grip. You should use the one you're strongest at. We are all stronger on our mixed grip with one hand over versus the other, right? We're all stronger with one versus the other. Well, not all of us, most of us are. You should use the one that you're strongest at, that you have the strongest grip with. Why? Because what are you doing? We're testing for your weak links. And if you're going to pull in comp with that specific grip, that's the one you should use for maxing, as far as your which hand is pronated versus which is supinated. Does that make sense? Okay. If you're not testing to see how much your grip and grip strength and the efficiency of it impacts your deadlift, if you're just testing to see how strong the rest of your body is, then strap up. Here's what I'm going to say. Don't count them as the same lift. If you're going to max on different variations of the deadlift, straps and mixed grip are 2 different lifts. There's slightly different biomechanics there, by the way. Your lift changes slightly when you use straps, if you're not aware of that. It will look a little different. So track them as 2 separate maxes, right? Track them as 2 separate maxes. Because they're 2 different lifts. In fact, that's a good way to have some variation for conjugate for people who don't have very much equipment. You don't have any bands or chains. Changing bars is a different deadlift. Going raw versus straps is a different deadlift. They're a different max. You could track them accordingly. Track them accordingly. Right? Testing 2 slightly different things. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.